Okay, let us begin. Shabbat Shalom, my most esteemed friends of the eternal truth, judges, as well as everyone accompanying us. On this rather precious, cloudy, kinda cold, temperature not too high day of Shabbat, from California, the US of A. Today will be maybe a little short, just a greeting, because we're in Christmas, and today we'll celebrate Christmas along with the group. Today is the 23rd of December of the year 2023. It's on its way out quickly. And today is Shabbat 10th of Kislev, or Kislev, which is the 9th month. And we are in the very eve of, along with the whole world, or almost all the world, to celebrate what is considered to be the birth of Christ. Actually, it was not the birth of Christ, because a birth, we call it when the baby comes from his mother and goes into the light. It was not the birth of Yeshua, the birth of Yahweh. But there is something that we understand in a very clear manner, and there's no need for me to even teach you again, because it's in the subjects, the studies of Christmas. It is that the approximately, it doesn't even have to be like this. Let me fix some here real quick. The date, you fix a date like a human being, you dictate, and from this date on, and I find it to be perfect. The 25th of December, what took place? Why did Yahweh cause for someone to celebrate everything that actually did not take place? Yeah, what took place was the incarnation of Yahweh, a divine being, at our level and at our earth as a human being. At that point in time, he comes and he introduces himself in the womb of Mary and does the miracle that what he has to do. He places what he has to place in order for him to self-gestate in the womb of Mary, to take from Mary's genes, the genetics, and to complete what he has to complete. He's the creator, does whatever he wants. And at that point in time, approximately, let's say on this date, it is when 9 months after the gestation period, he is born, and it won't be in a common date, but during the feasts of autumn, which could perfectly well be Sukkot, it could be Yom Kippur, there's no problem with that. But he is born in the feasts of autumn. In order for him to be born in the feasts of autumn, because of everything I've already taught you, and I won't teach today, it had to have been begotten, he himself, in the womb of Miriam, or Mary, same thing, in a date like close to today. That's why the whole world celebrates. It is not the birth, but it is the gestation, per se. Very well. There is something else that also he calls to celebrate his people, which was the date, which is not in the Torah, comes afterwards, which is Hanukkah. And actually, it is practically the same feast, Christmas and Hanukkah. Sometimes they're close together, sometimes separate by some weeks. That doesn't matter, but actually, it is the very same feast. And today, we decided to celebrate at a level of this group today, although it may not be Christmas, properly said. And afterwards, every lineage will celebrate it at home. That is why today I decided to have a short subject. It's not a study. It's only a greeting for you, and I'd like to show you the gifts that you sent me. So then let us begin. Very well. Leslie, have to help me to show these presents, or to say who sent them. This gift
Hello, hello, friends of LVE.
There's Leslie. You want to bring you a little chair? It'd be better. Can you bring me? Okay, I'll start to show this. This is from Zeneca. Many thanks, Zeneca. There it is. If you're too high, then I can give you another chair. Are you fine there? Yes, perfect. There, we can see there. Are you okay? Yes, then that's fine. This is from Zeneca. It is a cognac, extra old cognac, Remy Martin fine champagne. It's extremely expensive, extremely expensive. Since you couldn't send it because you can't send it, then she told me specifically which it was that I had to go and buy, and here it is. Spectacular. We haven't even tried it, of course.
Recommended by her, so then many thanks. Many thanks, Zaneka. We send you a great big hug.
To all those who, for all those who will criticize that it could have been given to the poor, it's $250. So then you will not taste it. Unfortunately, it is for Leslie and I. Yes, many thanks, Zeneca. I don't. Okay, and this one, this little gift was brought to us by the Martinez lineage. It is a fridge, like the old type. Who would like to have one of these? I remember perfectly well. Well, my grandmother.
My grandma had one like that, exactly white.
And inside there is a Dracula. No, Dracula. There is a champagne bottle. Friends from France. So then it is spectacular. Another one that also you won't get to try. It's only going to be Leslie and my person. Many thanks.
It was very specially selected by Gabriela, right? Is that right, Gabriela? So then many thanks. And especially for me, they said, mind you. Oh, yeah, thinking about me, right?
Exactly. Well said. Okay, moving on here with what you say is next, because we have so many. Which is next so that we can start to free up some space. If it's not in order, don't you worry.
And they got here first the last week, which was on behalf of the Heyer lineage and the lineage of Josias and Graciela and Joel and Luis. I hope I didn't forget anyone. I didn't specify.
Yeah, Josiah wrote to me the four shirts that are from Luis, Joel, Gabi, Sonia, Guille, es Ale, Re, Jose, no, not Josie, from Josiah, Gra, and the parrot, no, not everyone. Okay, everyone. So then all those, many thanks. This is the original one. The original one. The last one with the brand that is spectacular. This one here, precious one. That's the second one. This is a women's size. Women's size. It's 4. I showed all 4. Okay,
and a precious card that I do want to show. It's from the Heyer lineage. Very beautiful words. Extremely loving. We appreciate you a whole bunch. You already know all the time that we have worked together. Our love and appreciation towards you has grown so much. And I include you all, of course. Both Ariel and Giselle, Ale, Regiane, and also their mom and dad, Gabriel and Graciela. Although they are not in this card because this card speaks on behalf of the parents and Gabi and Giselle, Ariel, and Ariel. But very nice words, and we love you a lot. So then they're precious. There's no time to read them because Christian wants this to be short, or else I would have read it. So then afterwards we get this very original card that is I want to show you because it's precious and original that was made by Josias and Graciela. with pictures, and it's all an entire picture that they have made. And within it's precious words of
Or else it
love
gets
that
too
I appreciate
dense.
them to my soul a lot, so much. What you have wrote, and here you place all everything referring to some musical boxes that I'm about to show you, and every little word that is of this. It's both of us here.
Adentro tiene palabras preciosas de mucho cariño que yo las aprecio en el alma muchísimo, muchísimo lo que ustedes escriben. Y acá nos ponen todo referente a unas cajitas musicales que ahora se las voy a mostrar.
Here, give me, I'll show them while you look for the cards.
Cada papelito de esto que es toda una tarjeta en conjunto.
Estamos la foto de nosotros dos.
Estamos nosotros, está Brian.
We've got both of us here. We've got Angelina.
Y escriben un detalle.
Está Brian, qué pintones se ve. Qué
Oh, how good looking.
qué guapo es ese.
Who's that guy right there?
Ah,
Yeah, Brian. It's all great.
La tarjeta, la verdad que sí.
Tell the truth.
Y escriben sobre estas cajitas y sobre las musiquitas que tocan estas.
Exactly.
Están muy especialmente hechas. Nos dimos cuenta, este es de Angelina, que tiene los animes. Así que, y toca así. Bueno, quizás no esté tan
Well, maybe I'm not doing it.
Está también la
El
cajita.
de Angelina es, el opening es de Kimetsu.
Lopez de
no
Kimetsu.
Yaiba.
No, yeah, is that correct?
Kimetsu
No, Yaiba.
El de Brian de Star Wars.
Se llama el tema He encontrado una razón para ser más
I
fuerte,
found a reason to
llévame
be stronger.
contigo
Take
y
me
serás
with you,
fuerte.
and let us move on.
Este es de
El de
Star Wars.
Brian es de
Brian says Star Wars.
May the Force be
May the
with
force
you.
be with you.
Que la fuerza esté contigo, sea contigo.
Ajá, esta es la cajita para Brian. Después está We Are the Champions.
We are the champions
Para los
for
dos,
both of us, I
creo,
believe,
y
and the other
el
one.
otro,
Y el otro tiene
¿Qué
unas
es?
palabritas de. ¿Qué era? Can't help falling in love.
Can't help falling in love
Can't help falling in love. Very well.
with you. Sería, ¿no?
Ajá. Del tema. Bueno, y entonces esta también toca.
Ese We Are the Champions.
Esta
Y
We
este
Are the
tema que canta Elvis. A veces.
Sí,
Ese que dice, wow.
This is the one that says wise man.
No,
No, no, no, no.
muy bonito tema de Elvis Presley.
Spectacular.
Cristian, el
Many
cantante,
thanks.
me lo manda
Exactly.
para que lo escuche.
I don't want to, hold on, I don't want to forget. Okay, this is from Josias, especially, and from Shol and Luis. Precious words, my friend. Precious card that you wrote to us with such love, and we have such appreciation towards you that you've been with us. And they sent us a mate and an artwork which Shol made. Our friend Shol, and we're gonna fix it. They didn't let her in the customs. It looks like the way what happened here, but they didn't allow her to add a wooden stick, so we're gonna have to do it. They had to fix it and take it out, take that wooden stick out, but it's an adornment. Yes, so then, and this other one here, which I did not find, I wanted to add some batteries so that we could see it with the little lights, but I didn't find a little tiny battery. But they designed it like
That was
this.
just to keep it up right there. That's fine.
Bonito tejido.
Y este otro, no encontré, le quería poner una pila para que se viera con lucecitas, pero no encontré una pila tan chiquitita. Pero ellos lo rediseñaron, no era así.
No le dejaron llevar las
They didn't let them
Así que bueno, es
send the batteries. We'll see that later. There's the thermos. Spectacular.
Y esto es de Shol y
Oh, how pretty. How pretty. You open it and you close it. Open it and close it.
Para que se
So you
mantenga.
keep it hot.
claro,
Spectacular. Very beautiful thermos.
muy lindo.
Very beautiful.
Muchas gracias, amigos, por pensar así en nosotros.
And I'm gonna remove this one here, and now I'll help you with.
Y ahora te ayudo con.
Sí.
We'll continue with.
Ok.
Ok. Esto.
Fine. Moving on. Very well. Moving on. I received this card from, who is it? Who's this from? It is from Mari. No, not this one. This one. It was this one. No, this one. It was this one. This one is from Mari Ortega. Mary Ortega, many thanks. She sent us a little gift of money for Leslie, for Brian, Angelina, and myself. So then, many thanks for your gift. Very caring,
We never
very
forget
beautiful
about you.
card.
Yeah, Mari's always there. She always sends us her attention. And this one is from the very same lineage, Abigail and Rubicel. They sent us a little purse. Sent us, I call this like an Iron Maiden purse.
Precious.
That is very good. Like a wallet. That one's for Brian. And there's a chain. Abigail was saying that I chose an equal one just like it, but it's like that, and it's for the phone. Very same design. So then it is the same color. Whenever I want to use this one, so, I mean, you really hit what I like, just my taste, and it's very pretty. She always says, "Oh, how pretty! What a pretty purse!" And it looks very pretty. Along with this came something else, but where is it? It's the mother.
Y queda muy bonita, ¿eh? Siempre me dice, uy, qué bonita cartera. Y se ve muy bonita. Junto con esto venía algo más, pero ¿dónde está el mag? El mag.
¿Qué mag?
El mag de Iron Maiden.
Sí, está por ahí. Acá está, este es.
Ah, ese. Ese es el...
Do I tell them the story of this mug or not? Okay, Leslie gave me this mug. One of these past Christmas, I don't know which one it was, and she gave me one, and then came two more afterwards, and we have both. This is the third one. Now we need to buy a fourth one so that it's one each. Right, so then because this one already had it, and then we had another one. Oh, you gave it to me, right? But then we had two.
And
Two
we
came,
painted them, right,
two
Brian?
got
We
here.
painted them.
It's equal to this one, just like this one. Now we have three. It's somewhere back there. Now we have three. And now, what is back there? Now we have three. And now, Abigail, you have obligated to make a fourth one so that Angelina can have her own as well. Or you have to send me another one.
This is the Argentinian flag.
Right, yeah, we painted this with the Argentinian flag. Whoa. Yeah, clearly you see it. You clearly see it. Painted even the handle right there with the Argentinian flag, but of course.
It was for last year's Christmas, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, it's the very same one. So then now here's another one that we need to complete all four. One for each one.
So then many thanks, Rubicel, and many thanks, Abigail. We appreciate you a lot. You are always present. We already know each other from many years ago.
Many, many thanks. And we continue with the next one. If we find it, we'll start to mention it. This came from Danny and Jesse Ogando Santana. A box of chocolates. Many, many thanks.
And this one too, I loved it. I'm sure that it's the taste of a woman. This one's very pretty. It's from Jesse and Danny. A very nice adornment for the garden. In a pot somewhere.
So then it's solar charged.
Yeah, with the sun, you see the solar sun, and there's a little statue, you see.
So, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, and it's got little lights. Oh, look at that! I hope the little turtle doesn't run away.
Precious. Many thanks. A great big hug, very original. We're gonna show this one that it's from Christian Perez.
From Christian Perez, he gifted us some towels that are super, hyper, extremely fine, luxurious. Many thanks, Christian. I mean, you really overdid it. He says that it's cotton, Egyptian cotton. I mean, they're enormous. It's four of them, just like we got them. Spectacular. Tell the truth, they are luxurious. precious, precious towels.
Muy linda calidad.
Yeah, they're thick. I mean, a spectacular quality. Wow.
Wow.
Eh,
So then, many, many thanks. Yes, many thanks. A great big hug on behalf of us. Christian, you share my name. Many, many thanks. Spectacular. And it's heavy. Look at this. It's tremendous. Check if there's no Egyptian inside. Because it's very heavy. Maybe, right, a camel.
This is on behalf of our friends.
It is from Monica and Miguel Angel and Alexia. Miguel Angel, Monica, and Alexia. Oh, how delicious. The bar collection. Many thanks, Miguel Angel, Monica, and Alexia.
We're gonna really enjoy them.
Many thanks.
y ahora viene lo de Antonio
And Guadalupe,
Guadalupe.
a precious, I call this a wallet, precious little wallet. I mean, completely my style, very beautiful. I really love purses, whether they're little, big. I like to switch it up. I enjoy them.
Carteras, ya sean chicas, grandes, me gusta cambiarlas mucho. Las disfruto.
Rather precious. Okay, this one here's for Brian. A little backpack. It's a fanny pack. Yeah, a fanny pack. We'll call it a fanny pack. This fanny pack would be good for Glock 17
When he goes jogging,
or a Glock 19 right here. With 3 magazines would be fine.
Okay.
okay, so this is a camping jacket for Christian. And it's looks
Yeah,
very
it was
excellent on him.
spectacular.
It's kind of like a windbreaker there.
It's
It's
an
a
excellent.
3X
It really fit
because
well on
Christian,
me. It's
yeah, he's very tall.
What?
Porque Cristian,
It's just large and it fit very well. It fit very well, large. It is just my size. It is. I loved it.
And then some adornments that maybe I can put them up on the table or on some tree. Oh yeah, and it came along with that wallet.
venía junto con la cartera.
Very,
many
very fine,
thanks,
luxurious.
Antonio,
Oh, how
Guadalupe.
beautiful are these gloves.
Muchas
Oh, wow.
Very beautiful words in the card. Very
Precious
beautiful what you
gloves.
wrote to us with such love.
palabras de la tarjeta.
Yes, it's both of us here. Yes, obviously.
It's both of us right
I don't
there.
know. I mean, so then many thanks, my friends. The
When we were
truth, we
little-
feel the great love that you have for us, and the
How
words.
did they get that?
When you write to us, it is your all your words, all your comments that you offer us, and how you express yourself with such love. It's so nice to feel that.
Y las palabras
When we also,
se escriben
with such love, that we do this with such a dedication, with such love, and we feel that returned from you on your behalf, and all these gifts. Tell the truth, they really make us feel well and get us very happy, make us feel a lot closer to each and every one of you. So then I give you thanks. I give you thanks due to your comments and your cards and all the shows of affection. And those were all the gifts. Those that are to eat, we're going to enjoy them. And all these also with lots of love and lots of care every time we wear something. We'll remember you all.
todavía mucho más cerca de todos ustedes. Así que les doy las gracias por sus comentarios, por sus tarjetas, por todas las muestras de cariño. Y esos fueron todos los regalos. Los que son para comer los vamos a disfrutar y todos estos también. Con mucho cariño y mucho amor. Cada vez que nos pongamos algo nos vamos a acordar de ustedes. Bueno, los dejo con Cristian.
Very well. Spectacular words, Laz. Very well. Should I speak to you a bit today or should I send you all home? Because with all the rails, my throat hurting a bit. You see, in this dog shit world, with the dog shit rules that Elohim placed on us, without it being any of our fault, without having even any type of conflict that you could identify. No, you have the rails because of the cold, the heat, because it rains, because maybe somebody got close to you that already has buggers, and then automatically the systems that Elohim placed on our head are triggered, and he says this is a danger, we're going to cause this chain reaction, and then you end up once again with the cold and all that dog shit without eating or drinking it, not being our fault. It's a self-reflection of a memory that was recorded, you know, when the fuck back. Or all the yellings of your mother saying, no, don't go outside if it's cold, don't go because you're going to get a cold that gives you cold, and all that dog shit, and don't go around with those guys that have a flu and all that, and subconsciously it stays there, and when supposedly when the conditions are something like that, you get the same reaction, and you said, well, I didn't fight anybody, I didn't feel bad, and now what? Those rails, and you're gonna suffer it all your fucking life. That's what happens. I hate it. I mean, Yahweh once and for all said, okay, that's it. This is as far as it goes. Let us change the systems of the organism, how it faces every situation. That's the way it is. Very well. Christmas and Hanukkah 2023, like I was telling you, actually spectacular. The vision which Yahweh gave us and made us understand what Christmas is. What is Christmas? In Christmas, we celebrate the incarnation of Yahweh, the only being, the only Elohim that exists, initial, because he made us all Elohim, which is all of us, all gods, the creator being, who submerged himself in his own creation and played the role, because he was no anointed. He played the role of an anointed. Sometimes I stop and think, and it's not that I think, but I believe, that the entire Bible, absolutely the entire Bible, which is good to all people who read it, of course, and gives them a context of who the Creator is and all the rest. Actually, it is written like a guide for the Messiah. I'll repeat this again. The entire Bible is the guide of the Messiah. It's good for the whole world, of course, and everyone will understand whatever they want to understand, whatever they can understand, or what someone interprets for them. But actually, the Bible is the guide of the Messiah. The Messiah is the Son of Man, which needs a guide because Yahweh played the role of a Messiah 2,000 years ago and left. And he left and didn't speak to us again, nor will he ever speak to us again. That's why he left the book. And deal with it. Here's the book. Here's the book. You see that phrase? Because what we studied last Shabbat, of changing the prophecies, of changing what Peter says, because we present Noah like a being that's entirely contrary to what a Mashiach is. That's why I told you he's an anti-Mashiach. He's an antichrist. It's not that Noah was evil, that he was a perverse being. No, not whatsoever. He was a common man, like any other man, on the good side, like I could have been some years ago. If I, some years ago, being an Adventist, 70 Adventist, something miraculous were to come from God, and it's like, hey, come up here, you're going to be saved. I was willing to condemn the entire world, especially the Christians and the Sunday keepers, to hell. Fuck them all to hell, because I had that mentality. Did that make him evil? No, it didn't make me evil, none whatsoever. In fact, it made me a good person, because I was faithful to what I believed that was the truth. Fuck all these people, because they're idiots, and we, the faithful, because we believe in YHWH, we have the seal of God, we deserve salvation. So then, with that vision, it didn't make me a bad person, it made me actually a blind person. Wrong. Because I believed a doctrine, and I had made it mine, had made it a truth when it wasn't true. So that Noah was not a perverse or wicked being. No, he believed God. Look, they're all evil. Okay, he says, we're going to destroy everything. Okay, what do I have to do? But that obedience, due diligence, is like a military person. I've already spoken about your duty, like in Argentina. Some guy would come that had the mind to kill everyone. All the were to live on the streets, the homeless, a cleansing. He wasn't going to do it, so then the captain or the colonel, he would send his soldiers, all the ones living on the street, gather them and throw them in an oven. Their due diligence of the soldiers, their duty to do it, or else you're against the command of an official that's above, a superior, that makes it up to a level of treason. So then what should a soldier do? Obey, you see. Does he think it's okay? He doesn't have to think about that. He just obeys his go and kill this person, goes and do it. That's it, it's over, and shut your mouth. That is what you call your duty. Your duty as D-U-T-Y. It means duty. Your due diligence, obligated. I mean, if you read it incorrectly, it might sound like anything else. Noah had his duty and did it. God came and spoke to him and he said, okay, I'll save myself then. It's not that he's a bad guy. When I say he's an antichrist, it's not that he's evil, no. He did not have the mind of the Mashiach. The mind of the Mashiach, we start to see it in prophets and great people like Moses. When Yahweh says, I will destroy, they tell him no. That's where we start to get a glimpse of what the mind of the Mashiach is. Why the story of Noah? Why do we have all those stories for us? For what reason? The reason is to train the Mashiach. When I said some time ago, the destiny is written, and the end is irrevocable. What I say, it's inevitable. Yeah, you could ask yourself with what I taught last week, is the end really written? Is it not that we obligated Yahweh to rewrite the end? Because if the end is written by Peter, then it's not so written, is it? Then that so irreversible or inevitable end is pretty avoidable. In other words, according to Peter, the end was written, what he wrote. And the destiny of the world, the flames, the elements burning shall pass, he says. So then he says the destiny is written, Peter says, in the end, death to all is inevitable. What happens is that God is not testing whether he destroys or not. I've explained this many times over, but in case, just so you don't get confused, sometimes I have to say things in a form, in certain way, so that you understand well, because if I explain them every time in the same way, the point that I'm trying to say gets softened. Sometimes I want to show that Elohim is a being that has no moral, knows what he wants. I don't want you to go through on that route, thinking that we hate Elohim. No, we love Elohim. For us, it's all fine what he does. I do judge him, but in turn, I take him out of that judgment because he's Elohim. He's Elohim. So then, even if I judge him, that judgment is forming my mind, which I need to have to be the Mashiach. We need to have the mind of the Mashiach. That is what we need to have. Then all this education that Yahweh has given us through this shows us a guy like Noah, that he's a good guy. And Yahweh says, the Creator says he was perfect in front of me. But the Mashiach faces that and says, no, because he didn't have not even compassion or love for the rest. So then we should not act that way. So then these are all examples, and through other prophets, through Moses and others that I've shown, they're examples that Yahweh shows us so that it can develop a certain mind. Only that of the Mashiach. The rest don't even notice what's happening, what is written here. So then the end The destiny is written. Is it written or not? I can assure you the destiny is already written, and it cannot be moved. When he says, if I don't send Elijah, I have to destroy everything, that is clear. But it's written that he was going to send Elijah. There was no chance for him not to send him. Elijah has no chance of not being Elijah. He's going to do whatever Yahweh wants, or else the very Satan will go in Elijah, and Elijah will do what he has to do. As Judas did not want to give up Yeshua, Yahweh. He didn't want to give him up. He was doubting, is it me, Lord? No, the one that eats with me. He said, maybe I won't give him up. I'll tell you the truth, I won't. And then all of a sudden, Satan went in him. Because Yahweh does whatever he wants. There is no chance. So then the phrase, the destiny is written, the destiny is written. The true destiny is written. There's also a whole quantity of ends that are deceitful, we're going to say, because they're not possible. What Peter said is impossible. That everything will be undone is impossible. He had to say it to confuse all the people that read the Bible, but it's an end that is impossible, because Yahweh knows that he does not destroy the earth, that he gives it over to his children, that they may reign over people, over nations, over civilizations, and not over a desert. So then the end is impossible. What he will show in the development of the book and this story is to start to form the mind of the Messiah. We do not have any power whatsoever, because I don't call power to know how to face our conflicts. I don't call that power. Just a little tiny bit. But I mean, we're talking, I don't call that power, I would call that wisdom, and we manage with that. We don't have power to resurrect a mosquito. Nothing. We don't have power to give life. Nope. So then, we don't even have power to change the story, the history. Then, what is it that when I say that the man-child that will rule the nations with a rod of iron has been born, that is precisely what it is, a child, a powerless child that will develop like Yahweh developed himself. That says the child would grow in wisdom, in stature, and in grace with God and men. The child, the Mashiach child, has to start to grow and acquire something that he has to have. Fundamental, which he will have because it is written. It is called the mind of the Mashiach. In order to have the mind of the Mashiach, you don't need power. No power whatsoever. What is the mind of the Mashiach? Mind of the Mashiach is the mind of LVE. That all the creation of Yahweh, well, first of all, there's only one being that is divine, Shemah Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. That's first of all. That the mind of the Mashiach has. You cannot be a Mashiach if you don't understand the elemental, simple, fundamental Shema. So then the Mashiach understands that. There's no Mashiach that says, oh, there's three gods. No. There's no Mashiach that were to say the Mashiach is in heaven, he's going to come back. No. That's it. The Mashiach is already here. So then in order to form the mind of the Mashiach, you need to first, the fundamentals that there is a creator that is forming a Mashiach. Second of all, the Mashiach does not want to condemn eternally anyone. He wants to correct everyone, no matter if it's the most wicked person that has ever existed on earth. He wants to correct him. He wants him to be saved. The even worst person that has ever existed, that one, he wants him to be saved. How many human beings have that? No one. There are some that tend a little bit more towards everyone being saved, but the rest, no. The Christians condemn their own children, or because they were pregnant, or they turned out gay, or because they're drug addicts, or they're drunkards, and they're in gangs and they died, and so they know that their children died in hell. If they're Adventists, they know that they deserve a destruction, an absolute and complete destruction for all eternity. If they're other religious Baptists and all the rest, they think that their children will go to some hell to suffer forever. So then, who has the mind of the Mashiach? Because the power will come upon the mind of the Mashiach. If the power were to come upon a person that wants to condemn even one person, so then he can't. If that power were to come, he would condemn. And there's nobody wants to condemn anyone. There's just a few want to condemn. It's those that don't believe like he does. Just imagine an Adventist, which Pastor Cambera, Bachelor, Bohr, Yahweh tells me, okay, I'm going to give you the Spirit and do the world or you want. What do you think those three would do? They'd kill everyone, starting with the Catholics, because they're the beast. Yes, exactly. Or because you're wearing earrings. If you eat pork, I mean, how many would be left? How many, and if you don't accept Helen, what would they do with us that we burned the witch and we call her a witch? Do you think Gambetta would come with a loving face saying anything? He would come with his power. He would annihilate us. If they were to give the power to the Catholics, they'd do a disaster. Either we worship the Virgin, or we all fuck off to hell. If they were to give the power to the Mormons, I mean, don't even mention them. So then to whom? Who can have the mind of the Mashiach? Because we're not talking about power here. We're talking about forming the mind. When the mind is formed and mature, barely then upon that person can a certain power come, because power will not be to change people's beliefs. It's not that some Adventist pastor or a Baptist, when he receives the Spirit, he comprehends everything that is true in the Bible. No. It is power, absolute power. It does not make you change your doctrines. You have to form the mind of the Mashiach in order to, so that when Yahweh may see it mature enough and give him the power, he will know how to act. Do you understand what I'm saying? So then that's the point that we're in. Exactly, completely. Anyone that can sustain this as the law of God cannot be a Mashiach. Because he'll kill everyone that don't keep it. He starts to kill himself because he never kept it. Because they become fanatics. So then, what we are forming is something marvelous. Something in the mind of the Mashiach. What does this have to do with Christmas? What does this have to do with Hanukkah? It has a lot to do with it, but let us begin this subject with a word of prayer. This was just an intro where I thought I would just talk to you a little bit, but it's just an intro. Let us seek our Elohim. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks for this so precious day of Shabbat. We give you thanks because you have been forming our minds with characters in stories in the Bible, situations, in order to go understanding how a Mashiach thinks, or how the Mashiach thinks, how you want for the Mashiach to think. And when he's ready, your son, when he's already apt to receive a limitless power, that is where you will show him unto the world. We give you thanks for everything you give us. I ask you that in this Christmas and in this Hanukkah, you bless us greatly, that we may see your hand in every one of us, every one of the LVE lineage. All this I thank you for in your precious name, Yahweh Sabaoth. Alleluia. Yahweh has blessed with one more year of life the following members of the Eternal Truth. Let us start off with one from last week that I forgot to, I didn't forget, but it got to me late, and I'll mention them today. Yeah, it's called Damasa Sotillo, Venezuela. I didn't mention him last week. Damasa Sotillo, Venezuela. A very happy birthday, Damasa. And we move on to the rest. Graciela Solis, Bolivia. Yulimal Barrios, Colombia. Soraya Rodriguez, Venezuela. Carla Carolina Sirit Castilla, Colombia. Ibelsa Mercedes Barrientos, Guatemala. Gina Marcela Sopo Corredor, Colombia. Pedro Ceballo, the Dominican Republic. Mariana Macedo Santos, Brazil. Diego Ricardo González, Paraguay. Tomás Viviani, Argentina. Noemi Hernandez Cortez, Colombia. Marjorie Vargas Zúñiga, or if I were to mention it incorrectly, it could be Zúñiga or Zúñiga. Pardon me if I mention it incorrectly. Ariel Stanley, Argentina. Diana Gisenia Andrade, Colombia. Lucila Alvarez Nunez. They go like the Dominican Republic, and I believe that there are some that I mentioned that don't even listen to us anymore. If Lucila Alvarez Nunez, they go like, listens to us, to have her greet the group, or else it's been a long time that I don't know anything from them. They left when the whole YHWH Capella group left, and they were offended, or the rest, or whatever. I don't know. They left, so then let me know if Lucila is there. This year, I'll greet her this year, but if she does not report, then Gabi, take her from the list if they do not report. And that goes for the whole group of LVE a cappella. If you don't report yourself, then out. Because they weren't even mentioned judges, neither did they care about the rings. That's why I'm saying maybe they don't even listen. Tatiana Munoz, Colombia. So then, to each and every one of you, a very happy birthday, even for those that are not here, even if it's the last time that I mention you. Happy birthday. I'd like to let you know that on Thursday, that just passed the 21st of December, here in Riverside, California, the US of A, an event took place. Was born and saw the light Antonella Cristabel Victoria Ziloch Lee. Why did you go all out with that name? Antonella Cristabel Victoria Ziloch Lee. Her parents are, of course, Nelson, Rebesh Nelson, and her mom, Audrey. They're still in the hospital because she was born by cesarean. It was necessary, but they're all okay now. They should be let out today because Antonella Cristobal Victoria is fine. The mother is fine, and they don't let them out today. Then it'll be tomorrow. So then I know you're listening to me. A kiss and a great big hug for Antonella Cristabel Victoria, her dad Nelson, and her mom Audrey. Many congratulations. It made us very happy. Very happy. All of us, we've seen the pictures. Did somebody publish pictures of her? Oh, she's so tiny, Antonella. So then it was the right date. We wanted to go, but with this conflicts that I had coughing. They were gonna say you have that cup of wine, version 2.c. They were gonna kick me out, or they were gonna say test yourself, and I'm gonna say you can shove that test, where. That's why I didn't go. Aside from my head, I had a headache, but we did want to go. She was born here in Riverside, real close. So then today it'll be almost impossible to go, but we will know her already. We'll meet her later. We send you a great big hug, Audrey, and also Nelson, and a great big kiss to Antonella Cristabel Victoria. What a huge name. Antonella was chosen because of Messi's wife. Nah, I'm just interpreting. Antonella, because Messi's wife is Antonella Cristabel. Sounds known like Cristabel. Sounds known Victoria. Also known, familiar to me, my daughter. How beautiful, precious name. We loved it. We loved the name. So then there it is. Great, some greetings and congratulations for the parents. Very well.
My grandma's name was Victoria Antonia.
And due to your grandma, did we call Victoria to Angelina? My grandmother's name was Angela, and your grandma was Antonia. We got them together. Victoria, Angelina, Victoria. They're prophetic, spectacular names. Wow. So then, very well. Very soon we'll meet her in person. Very well. So then, what was I talking about today? That we need to have the mind of the Mashiach. That is what I was talking to you about. So then, the future is written. The destiny is written. Yes, it is. Yahweh knows what he will do. He has planned it, and there's nothing here that is random, saying we, due to our act, did we save the world? No, no. It is written that due to the act of certain people, they save the world. But that is by design already. You understand what I'm saying? It's like when somebody is recording a movie or an author is writing a book. When you start, you don't know what will happen. When the book ends, he already knows what happened. It was already written. It's not that it all changed. The author and designer, the writer, knows which this novel has already been written. For us who live it, actually, of course, it obligates us to act in defense or to attack certain things in order to train us. We do not know what the future, the immediate future holds for us or how it'll be. He does. But then he starts us to train the way he needs to so that we start to act and he obtain a mind and a decision that he wants. So then it might seem to us, I'm going to do that because Yahweh has to be stopped. And of course, he obligates us to do is what I'm trying to explain, being understood, of course, in case. Of course. In the hedge, like the text says, in the hedge, we've got Leslie standing, we have Angelina standing, Brian standing, and my person is standing. Decided. And all of you who have declared the same thing, that you are with us, you get together in the hedge against Yahweh. That actually is an attack against Yahweh. No, it's what Yahweh wants. It is what Yahweh wants. Or he doesn't want a group of sheep that says, do this, we'll destroy everything. What he wants is people that understand what it is to be a Mashiach. So then he starts to awaken that in us. That is the form to prepare the mind of the Mashiach. Just so you understand, okay, the photo, the picture of the invitation is spectacular. That tree is rather divine, that tree. And the text of the invitation is magnificent because a child is born unto us, a son is given unto us. And the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor. Not Wonderful, comma, Counselor. It is Wonderful Counselor, and it literally says, a marvelous planner. Keep that word there in mind, because the Mashiach, Yahweh gives him a name, which is a marvelous designer of plans. Not Wonderful Counselor, no. It is a plan. I looked it up, even what the Talmud said. It is a marvelous blueprint designer. If Yahweh gives him that title, it means that the Mashiach has his own plans, which are excellent. The mighty God, for example, mighty Elohim, everlasting Father. It doesn't say everlasting Father. That is a good translation, but it could be translated better as Father for all eternity, or Father for the end of times. It is very interesting. One thing is to say everlasting Father, and another is to say Father for all eternity. In other words, he is the Father of humanity because he's going to save them. It could be Father, Mother, same thing. But it's just that he becomes the Father of all humanity due to salvation. You understand what I'm saying? The Mashiach becomes the Father of humanity because he saves humanity. That's why it is the Father, and in other translations, in Hebrew, it said the Father of the, how did it say? The Father of the new era for all eternity. In other words, the Father of the future. That is what it says, because you see how it is a child. It's a symbol. It's a child. And it has those names. A marvelous blueprint designer. A mighty Elohim. He has all the characteristics of Elohim. The Father for all eternity, or on the part of the new eternity. And a Prince of Peace. Spectacular. We're about to see that text a little bit. This picture that I never forget about, and I'll never forget about it throughout the rest that I have on this stage, in this era, I'll never forget about it. This picture that Brian took was in the year 2020. 2020. Precisely in our first Christmas after not having celebrated Christmas for many years, because they had told us, because we thought that it was Babylonian, the feast of the devil, the Saturnalia, and all that blah blah blah. Christmas, the most important feast of all of them. None of the other ones would be fulfilled if it wasn't because of Christmas. If Yahweh didn't fulfill Pesach first, if that feast is not fulfilled of incarnation, when Pesach would be fulfilled, then never ever. So then the most important one of them all. It's not Christmas that, we celebrate Christmas in the 7 great feasts. No, Christmas and Hanukkah are the most important one of them all. Depending, the 7 feasts, they depend on this feast. It's not this feast, not 7 feasts, if this feast does not exist. And this tremendous image, Yahweh gave it to us when we decided and we understood and we decided. I'm sure Yahweh just guiding us. It is written. It is written. In this year, 2020, we had to start to celebrate Christmas once again. And that's it. And Yahweh, in order to show us a smile, a wink from him, he gave us this tremendous image on the 24th of December, when the sun was being set and it was becoming Christmas Eve. In front of our house, a rainbow like I've never seen. You see the difference? It seems to be something marvelous, fabulous. It was given to us on that day. Spectacular. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, we could say in the entire world, while we were enjoying our first Christmas, with this approval, sign of approval, it's a sign of approval, it reminds him that he should not destroy the earth with water. And I remind you, not water or anything, with nothing. Meanwhile, during Hanukkah of 2020, what took place? What took place is that Hanukkah backwards is left. Hanukkah backwards is, how is it? Akunav. The Akunav. I cannot say it more clear. Akunav. 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 Like Xin Vak. In the first day of Hanukkah, precisely Akunav, the US of A, by our beloved President Trumpa. And beloved, quote unquote, you already know. Maybe some crazy guy says, oh, they love Trump. No. They are the Trumpists. Approved the use of that mark for all the population when, precisely while we were celebrating Christmas, with an immense joy, they were approving something else for the temple. And there's something that's important, because precisely while we were getting the temple ready, which is our body, during the feast of the dedication, which is Christmas and Hanukkah, it is the same feast. But what were we preparing it for? Because we were going to receive the same thing that Mary received. We were going to be left pregnant because we were going to give birth to a child, and we gave birth to that child. It's just that the world will not understand this until the Son gets to the height that he needs to get to, completely opposite to the world, while the world was using this product, which is a mark. We started to embrace and understand the concept of what it is to have the mind of the Mashiach. The very same date, some would go on one side, and we, just a few, would go the other way. The two sides, both are just as crazy. Just some as the others. We, because we believe something that the people would say they're completely crazy. You guys are what? You guys are what? What kind of Jesus? Have you looked each other in the mirror? What did you eat? What did you believe in? Who do you think you are? Because Jesus says that false Christ would come. And blah, blah, blah. The others, believing in just garbage, you know what? Actually, I don't know what will happen, because if the one that has the mind of the Mashiach, I'll leave it at that, is given the power to that group that will have the mind of the Mashiach, is given the power, we could care less if they're marked or not. We can teach them, look, you have a mark. That is very bad. We can take it out. You want me to take it out? How many do you think, if they understand something, those who want to get it rid of it, do you think that the Messiah will have power to get it out of them or not? Of course. If he's going to be limited, then who's going to have that limited Messiah? Oh, you're fucked. You have the mark. Then someone says, no, it was by obligation. I understand it. I understand so clearly. No, now you're going to pay for the consequences, you son of a bitch, because you put it on. No. So then it is all left to whatever the Mashiach does. Now, if Yahweh does not give the Mashiach power, and the people pay for the consequences, they're not going to be, the Mashiach is not going to be able to do anything. You understand what I'm saying? If the people start to pay for the consequences, the Mashiach doesn't have any power, what is he going to do? Just to complain to Elohim? See, when you give us the power, but in the moment in which he gives power to the Mashiach will say the truth. And look at this. Let's go back to Isaiah 9, 1 through 7. Isaiah 9, 1 through 7. And it bears the title, added, just so you understand, or so that the Christians understand, the birth and the reign of the Messiah. All the Christians that there's ever been say that this is a prophecy that's fulfilled in Christ Jesus. Whatever. In Yeshua. We have always believed it so. But this, I've already said it before, is not applied. It's not applicable to the Mashiach of 2,000 years ago. It is applicable a little bit. And why a little bit? Because Yeshua went, he was a symbol of the Mashiach. Yeshua, everything that Yeshua does is a projection so that the Mashiach can learn what he has to do. And you will say then he's going to die, because Yeshua died. Not necessarily that. Necessarily, you're wrong, actually. Because even the Jews, in their blindness, they see that there are two Mashiach in Scripture. One that is called Mashiach ben Joseph, which is what the way they call it, and the one ben David. Mashiach Joseph comes first, and he has to die. But he leaves everything ready for the Mashiach ben David, which is the Mashiach that will guide and lead the world without end. Okay, does this have any truth? I don't know if it has any truth in the way that they present it, or Ben Joseph, Ben David. No, I care less about that. What is true is that all of the Tanakh presents a suffering Mashiach that was to carry the sins of his people, like Isaiah 53, that was to be a Mashiach, a victim, and that as a victim he was to be taken to the slaughter, and that's it. But in turn, and simultaneously, a triumphant Mashiach is presented. Which of the two is it? It's both of them. Because Yahweh had to project what the Mashiach had to do and think and say. But in turn, he had the function of being sacrificed in order to eliminate a law that he gave, that there was no way of eliminating it other than that by going through the death. But he also designed that not as if to say, I have no other choice. He wanted to go through the death because it's an experience. He wanted to go through that experience. In the end of it all, he had power in himself to resurrect. So then he wanted to experience the human experience. Yahweh changed his way of thinking completely as it relates to us when he became human. He had a different way of thinking before. When he became human and he lived among us, it's not that he comprehended more. It's not like there's no other way than to experience close by. They can tell you many tales, but from that as to experience it, experience death, and he had to experience death because he created it. It would have been unfair that all of the human race, all of it, except for some that, let's say, are very few the ones that won't experience death. They have all experienced death. The Creator also had to experience it. Because they're not going to tell the Creator, you don't know what it is to live. No, he died. And that's it. With that is enough. It was enough to experience it. It was enough to eliminate his condemnation, but he was not the Mashiach. He projected the Mashiach as a prophecy, and yet another prophecy, like all the other ones that he was writing, like Hosea. Hosea was not Yahweh. The prostitute with which Hosea married and he bought was not Israel. These are the symbols. This is you represent Yahweh the Creator, and the whore Israel. And let's play with this. Whoever understands it. The same thing. The Messiah that came 2,000 years ago was not the true Messiah. It was Yahweh, and it was interpreting a role. That by reading the words of that, we see the projection. What is the true meaning of this? Why the Gospels are written if the people don't understand anything? Because one might think the Gospels are written in such a way that they made a world that's practically Christian, but no one understands the truth. They continue to worship a certain Christ Jesus that went to heaven and never again will come back because he no longer exists. Because when the people say, but all the words that I read in Mark, Luke, John, and then everything that Paul said, so that you tell me that it doesn't exist, what was the reason that I was deceived? There has to be a group of people saying, and to tell them, no, we interpreted this completely different. So then, if we interpreted this completely different, it's because it was able to be interpreted completely. When Yeshua says, whoever has seen me has seen the Father, he's saying, I'm the Father. He says, if I'm the Father, I am no anointed. Don't be an idiot. I'm no anointed. And if I am what I am, then I am demonstrating what the Messiah will do. That is what you have to understand. And the people, since they don't understand it, since they are not even, can it go up into their mind that they could be the Messiah, they cannot understand it. That's why I tell you that we're all crazy. Those that understand this, those that understand something else, the whole world, the Christians, they understand Isaiah chapter 9, like it talks about Jesus, the Son of God that is in heaven that someday will return, that will never return. He already returned, and he is among human beings. The people don't know yet. And I'll start. Yet there will not always be. I'm so glad these words are chosen. Tell the truth, it's a darkness that's rather impenetrable, the Bible is, in the world. It's such a darkness that's dense. Dense darkness, and no one sees anything. You cannot see anything, to such a point that the people will say, we're blind completely, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. Yet there won't always be darkness for the one that is in anguish. Who is in anguish? It is not Israel, it is not us. It is humanity. Humanity is the one that suffers. Humanity is the one that is deceived. Humanity is the one that dies. Humanity is the one that tries desperately to find the truth and cannot even access it. The suffering is humanity entirely. Whether you're on the side of Gaza or on the other side, they all have to be redeemed. Both Israelites, the Israelis, as well as the Palestinians, are anything wild. The savages, they all have to be redeemed. No one is right. So then it says the Bible assures you that they're all in darkness, but darkness will end. Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation, who was humanity entirely. When at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali. Yahweh ironically says, do you remember an episode that's very, very dark that happened in Israel, in Naphtali and Zebulun? He says that's light. He's predicting the future, actually. That we're in complete darkness, that it wasn't even as that time, it's worse. For finally, at the end of what? At the end of the book, when the end is already being fulfilled of the stage of creation, for at the end, afterward, did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea, in Galilee of the nations. What does this mean that I've just read? It is marvelous. The earth in complete darkness at the end of times, but dense darkness, which says now there is hope. Because at the end of time, there comes a light, and that light will shine in Galilee of the Gentiles, in the nations. It will not shine in Israel, mind you. It will shine Israel also, but it doesn't come from Israel unto the Gentiles, but rather from the very Gentiles. It's just from that side of the Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. That is right there. It's all a symbolism. It says that the light will start to shine in the nations. 2. And the people who went in the dark, entire darkness, mind you, have seen a great light. What did that people see? And that people are the Goyim. That people is the entire world. The people that were in darkness have seen a great light. And for those who were living in the land of deepest night, exactly, this is a land of complete darkness, of course, and everyone is about to go into death, and in fact with everything that they have injected, that they placed inside, that they marked themselves with. They're all in the shadow of death. Maybe some know it and others don't. But they are dwelling in a land of the shadow of death, in complete darkness. But it says the people that was in darkness saw great light. Do you know what the great light is? You know specifically what is that great light? The light shone upon them. If you said that great light is the knowledge or the wisdom, you're wrong. That great light is a synonym of something, of the Messiah.
sinónimo de algo, del Mesías.
What's coming is not something for the people that are like such a wisdom
Para la gente
or a
que
light
sea
of
una
understanding something.
sabiduría
Nope.
o una
That
luz de
great
entendimiento.
light is the great light of the Messiah.
Es la gran luz
The great
del
light
Mesías.
of the Messiah.
La gran
And the
luz
Messiah is not a
del
person,
Mesías.
the Messiah
Y el
is a
Mesías
group
no
of
es una
people
persona, el Mesías
that are
es un
united,
grupo de personas
that have
unificadas que
every one of them, the mind of the Messiah, the Messiah. So then,
Mashiach, del Mesías.
what does light mean? Messiah.
¿Qué significa luz?
What does it mean?
Mesías.
The Messiah is the light of the world.
El
What did
Mesías
Yeshua say?
es la
I
luz
am
del
the light of the world.
¿Y Yeshua qué dijo? Yo soy
And if that
la
I
luz del
am,
mundo.
of course, it's that Yahweh was going to be the light of the world. That is clear.
Claro,
But he
porque
wasn't,
Yahweh
I, Yahweh, I'm the light of the world.
Pero
No,
estaba
there's
diciendo,
no
"Yo,
need
Yahweh,
to
soy la luz
to
del
say
mundo".
that. It's not necessary.
No hace falta ser
Not just the
frío,
light,
no
also
hace falta-
darkness. It
no
is
solamente la
lies.
luz,
It is
la
wickedness.
oscuridad,
He's everything.
es la mentira, es la
What he was
maldad,
saying as a
es todo.
Messiah
Lo que estaba
is that the
diciendo como
Messiah
Mesías
was the light of the world. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mesías era la luz
Yahweh,
del mundo. ¿Entienden lo
in
que
the
estoy
form of a
diciendo?
Messiah, he said, I am the light of the world.
En la forma de Mesías dijo,
What is he
"Yo soy
saying?
la luz
The
del
Messiah is the
mundo".
light
Está
of
diciendo,
the world.
el Mesías es
John
la
1
luz.
9, that you know this by memory, says,
Uno,
and
dos,
that
tres,
true
que lo
light
conocen de memoria, dice, aquella luz verdadera
that shines
que
upon every
alumbra
man
a todo
came into this
hombre
world.
venía a
Who is that true light? It was to know something,
¿Quién
a
es
book?
esa luz
No,
verdadera?
it was a
Era
person.
conocer algo, un libro. No,
No
era
one
una persona.
doubts that, right? That
Esa
true
luz,
light
hay
that
una
shines
luz
upon
conmigo, ¿no?
all men came
Esa
to
luz
this world.
verdadera que alumbra a
Who
todo
was that
hombre
true
venía
light
a
for
este mundo.
John?
¿Quién era
Yeshua,
esa
the
luz
Mashiach.
verdadera para Juan? Yeshua, el
He then
Mashiach.
represents that the true light
Representa entonces
is not
que la luz verdadera
the spirit of something of understanding. No, no, it is not a religion,
de
no.
algo de entender.
It is the
No es una
Mashiach.
religión,
The
no.
light of the world
Es el
is the
Mashiach.
Mashiach of the world. That is what the light of the world is. Or else there's no way of illuminating this world. There's no way.
Si no, no hay forma
It cannot be
de
illuminated by religion. It cannot be illuminated by a knowledge. It'll be illuminated
iluminar un saber,
by the
lo
Mashiach.
va a iluminar
Or no one will
el
illuminate it.
Mashiach, el mundo. O nadie lo va a
Matthew
iluminar.
4:12 through 19.
Mateo 4,
Matthew
12 al
12.
17. Mateo 4, 12 al 17.
But I'll continue to read Isaiah, but I'm explaining this. Matthew 4:12 through 17. Now, when Yeshua heard that John was in prison, he came back to Galilee.
Estaba preso, volvió a Galilea.
Leaving Nazareth, he came and dwelt in Capernaum, which is upon the sea coast, in the borders of Zebulun and Nephthalim, that it might be fulfilled, because it had to fulfill what a Mashiach is, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, and he'll quote what I just read from Isaiah 9, the land of Zebulun and the land of Nephthalim, by the way of the sea beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles, the people which sat in darkness saw great light. They saw the Mashiach. And to them which sat in the region in shadow of death, light is sprung up. What shine upon them? The Mashiach. From that time, Yeshua began to preach and to say, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Exactly. That is what the Mashiach is. What is the true light? The Mashiach. There is no knowledge of the Bible. Do you understand what I'm saying? When I talk about the Mashiach, I'm saying that this no longer illuminates anyone else ever again. From the time in which the Mashiach shows up, this is no longer any good. This is the guide of the Mashiach to become a Mashiach. And he helps the world that wants to read many things. But in the time in which the Mashiach shows up, the light comes from the Mashiach, not from this. And the Mashiach doesn't come to illuminate this to say, you have to learn to read the Bible. No. The Mashiach comes with the light of the Mashiach, and this is no longer his own light. And with his own laws, per se. Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. Exactly. Light, luz, shone upon them. Very good. Let's go to 2 Samuel 23, 1 through 7. And these words, David said them when he was dying. This was the last thing he said before he kicked the bucket. So then the last thing the guy said, of course, one could read it and say, who's he talking to? He's some dog shit old man that couldn't even think in fulfilling this. Who made him say this? Yahweh did. For whom? For the Mashiach. The whole Bible is written for the Mashiach. That is why every time we can understand it even better. 2 Samuel 23, 1 through 7, last words of David. Now these are the last words of David, the last one before he kicked the bucket. Look at what David said. David said, son of Jesse, and David represents the Mashiach. When you read David, in many aspects, it is the symbol of the Mashiach. Said that man who was raised upon high, the anointed, the Christ of the Elohim of Jacob. Yeah, it says anointed. What is that? The Mashiach. Completely in Hebrew it says the Mashiach. David the Mashiach. But of course, the Mashiach of the Elohim of Jacob. What he was referring to, that all Mashiach, all the about to die? No, of course not. That is just a figure. In fact, now I start to believe many things when he says that that David was like according to the heart of Yahweh, right? It's just a figure. It means that the Mashiach is according to the heart of Yahweh, not David. Of course, because we sometimes read things so literally. When we understand that the Bible is the book of the manual of the Mashiach, you say, oh, of course. The only one that Yahweh is an actual friend of, because he understands the thoughts of Yahweh, is David, the Mashiach. Did you understand what I said? Okay. Now the Mashiach of the Elohim of Jacob says the anointed, the Mashiach of the God of Jacob. The sweet singer of Israel. Look, what it says, this is pure prophecy. The Spirit of Yahweh spake by me. David says this. But this is a prophecy that's, who says it? The real Mashiach at the end of times, the only one that exists. What does he say? I know David said it. It's the last time he said it. So then what is he saying? These words are for the mouth of the Mashiach. So then they have to be in the mouth of the Mashiach. The Spirit of Yahweh has spoken by me, and His word has been in my mouth. The Elohim of Israel has said, the Rock of Israel has spoken unto me. There will be a just ruling over men, ruling in the fear of Elohim. And he shall be as the light of the morning. How's the Mashiach? As the light of the morning. That's what the Mashiach is, equal to light. He will be as the light of the morning, as the sun riseth in the morning without clouds, as the tender grass springing out of the earth by clear shining after rain. And this is the bad translation, but they had to add a question, because it's written in the RV 1960. It says, this is not my house, but with God. David's not saying that. David is asking and affirming, is this not my house with God? He's not saying, although my house be not. He's saying it backwards. He said, my house is just like that with God. All thing that I added was to add a symbol as a question. Is this not my house with God? Yet he, I'll read a different version so that it's clear. Yet he hath made with me an everlasting covenant. And that yet is because it was miswritten. For that reason, because my house is just like God, serves God, my light is a light. For that reason, he had made an everlasting covenant with me, ordered in all things, and sure. Did he do a covenant with the David? No, with the Mashiach he does the covenant. With the Mashiach he did an everlasting covenant, but of course,
aunque todavía no haga él florecer toda mi salvación y mi deseo,
For this is all my salvation, all my desire. He does an eternal covenant with us, even though we have yet to see all the salvation and everything that we want to do. But the wicked will all be as thorns thrust away, because they cannot be taken with hands. Of course, nobody will grab them because they have thorns. But the man that shall touch them must be fenced with iron and the staff of the spear, and they shall be utterly burned with fire. Exactly. Those are the wicked. It means that they have to be purified in a hell. The Mashiach understands these things. You don't have to destroy them entirely, but you got to purify them. And I'll read this to you. I'll read it to you. These were the last words of David. I'll read it to you in the Spanish DHH. Spanish DHH says the last words of David. These are the last words of David. David, the son of Jesse, the man whom God has raised up, anointed by the God of Jacob, the sweet psalmist of Israel, has declared, the Spirit of the Lord speaks through me. Same thing as Yeshua said, as the Mashiach says, and that the Mashiach will say. His words are in my tongue, in my mouth. The God of Israel spoke. The protector of Israel has said, the one who rules righteously, who rules in the fear of God, is like the light of the morning. That is the Mashiach. How is he going to be like the light of the morning, like the light of the sun, in the morning without clouds, like the gleaming of the sun on new grass after rain? That is why my seed is firm in God, for he has made with me an everlasting covenant. You see the difference here? That is why my seed is firm with God, not the contrary like it says in the other versions. That's why my seed is firm with God, for he has made an everlasting covenant with me, completely arranged and sure. He gives me the victory, and he causes all my desires to be fulfilled. But all the godless are like thorns to be thrown away, for they tear the hands that touch them. One must use tools to chop them down, and they will be totally consumed by fire. These are the last words of David. And it was a prophecy that Yahweh will raise in the end of time a light, and that light is the Mashiach. I'd like to read these texts that have something to do. Let's go to Matthew 11:25. Remember, we're reading what Yahweh said in the form of a Messiah, so that the Messiah understand that the only one that can say and understand this is him. At that time, answering Yeshua, he said, I worship you, Father. He was the Father who was doing a whole story, which is a parable, but it's for the Mashiach. What did Yeshua say? That he was a father, but he was saying something which only the Mashiach can understand. I worship you, Father, Lord of heaven and of earth. Only the Mashiach can say that. Because you have hid these things from the wise. Of course, the Mashiach says, I worship you, Yahweh, my Father, because you hid all this wisdom. What is the wisdom? All this from the theologians, from the wise men, from all those that want to understand that it is hidden. Scripture is. It is absolutely covered. Scripture is. And the Mashiach says, I worship you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and has revealed them unto the babes. Who are the babes? Those babes are not the babes that you think the babes are, the little tiny ones like that. No, it's not the babes. Those babes represent the Mashiach. Those babes, to be a child is given to us, a child is born unto us. Even so, Father, for so it seemed good in thy sight, the system, never a theologian, never a church is forming the Mashiach as a child, because so it pleaseth Yahweh, and he is forming him. All things. Look at what the Mashiach says. The true Mashiach, Yahweh, in the form of Yeshua. It makes no sense for him to say this unless he says so in order for the Mashiach in the end of times, taking his study guide, which is the Bible, says, now I understand this clearly. These are our words of whom the Mashiach is. What is the Mashiach going to say? What does the Mashiach say now? All things were given to me by my Father. Let me ask you, all the things that the Mashiach will have, from power to possessions, who gave them to him? The Father, because he makes him an heir of all things. So then the only one that can say this is the true Mashiach. But Yahweh, showing us what it is that we have to understand, he shows us this in this projection. All things were delivered unto me by my Father, and no man knoweth the Son but the Father. Actually, who knows the Son now? That Son that was born, does somebody know him? No, only Yahweh. Only Yahweh. No one knows the Son, but rather the Father. No, the Father knoweth anyone but the Son. Who knows actually Yahweh? Between all the religious people, who knows him? They don't know him. They don't know him. Now that all the things that would seem barbarities that we say of him, that is to know him. That is what this means, to know him. To say he's the old ancient serpent that he said all things, that is what it means to know him. But no one knows him. In fact, if you want to tell it to the people, they don't believe it. Nor the Father knoweth anyone but the Son. In other words, the Father knows the Son, who in the end of it all, he's going to show him. In the end of it all, he's going to show him. But as long as he doesn't show him, the only one that knows the Son is the Father. And the only one that knows the Father is the Son. And it said, no one knows the Son but the Father, neither knoweth any man the Father save the Son, and he to whomsoever the Son will reveal him. So then the Son, who is the Mashiach, if he wants to, he can reveal the Father. If he wants to, he can reveal the Father. And notice what the Mashiach says, which is not fulfilled under any aspect in the words of Yeshua of 2,000 years ago, because it did not help anyone. But it did. It did. This will be fulfilled to the letter with the Mashiach. What will the Mashiach say into the world? He'll say these words. The Christians are going to grab their heads and say, this is Antichrist that we've been talking about. What is the Mashiach going to say unto the world? Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. What is the yoke of the Mashiach? It's all the wisdom and what the Mashiach will teach you. But it's not an actual yoke. It's that of Babylon. It's not a yoke like that of this world. That is, he's going to say, take my yoke, my teachings upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, righteous, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. No one understands this. The Christians think that at that point in time, Yeshua is saying, at that point in time, to his followers, start to do what I say and forget about the Torah and forget about everything. It isn't so, because he never even fulfilled that. His disciples continue to keep Torah and all the rest. So whose yoke was easy that Yeshua did? No one, because he's not going to make anyone's yoke easy. Because it's a projection, a prophecy that the Mashiach was going to make the yoke easy to everyone that believes and understands that he is the Mashiach and why he's the Mashiach. Now let us go to Luke. It's the same thing, but it has a variation. Luke 10:21. Luke 10:21 through 24. In that hour, Yeshua rejoiced in spirit and said, I thank thee, O Father. Once again, a prophecy for the Messiah.
Otra vez, una profecía.
I worship you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, for thou hast said these things from the wise and prudent. Pastors, religious, wise men, precisely wise, rabbis, and hast revealed them or shown or given unto the babes. Yes, Father, for so it seemed good in thy sight. All things are delivered to me by my Father. That is what the Mashiach will say. And no man knoweth who the Son is, but who the Mashiach is, until he is shown into the world, but the Father. And who the Father is, but the Son. And he to whom the Son will reveal. And he turned him unto his disciples and said privately, Blessed are thy eyes, which see the things that ye see. For I tell you that many prophets and kings have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. But of course, for they were listening to the Messiah. This is clearly understood, that blessed are they who are alive and have the opportunity of listening to the Messiah. For how many people did not have a chance of hearing him and they wish to have heard him? What happened in Christmas? The incarnation of John 1:14, and that word was made flesh. That verb was Elohim. The only one there is. That word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. But this is fulfilled again. That verb again becomes flesh, and that flesh is the flesh of the Mashiach, because he came to show what was to happen and how the Mashiach was to be given. So then again, this is fulfilled. Luke 1:35. And answering, the angel said, he's talking to Mary, and speaking to us, because we are that woman, and also the Son, like I explained in Revelation 12. Difficult to understand, but easy once you understand everything. The Holy Spirit shall come upon thee, and the power of the highest shall overshadow thee. Therefore also that holy thing which shall be born of thee shall be called Son of God. So then, how is this fulfilled again? Because this was fulfilled in Yeshua, blah, blah, blah. Yes, that's fine. But this is more importantly so even for us, of what happened 2,000 years ago. What happened 2,000 years ago already passed. But in order for the Mashiach to be born, the Holy Spirit from Yahweh comes upon us, and he does a work, and in us is born a new being with a new mind. And that is through the Holy Spirit that he makes us understand all things. And that being that starts to be born in us, that was already born, is the Son of Man, is the Messiah. Just like that, as you hear it, which will be called the Son of God. Romans 8:19. How is this applied, entirely united with this? Romans 8:19, for the earnest expectation of creation, of all creation. Creation is as a whole, from animals, what seems to be inanimate, the plants, and also the earth that would seem to be inanimate, if it's alive or not, whatever, doesn't matter. All the creation, including fundamentally all the human beings, Because the earnest expectation of creation waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. How? Paul understood this, or Yahweh made him say it. Creation is not waiting for the second or the second coming of Jesus. No. The creation understands this clearly. The creation understands this very clearly, a lot more clear than all the Christians together. The creation internally, prophetically knows that it was cursed. It was cursed by Yahweh. Cursed to the bone in every aspect, starting with death. And we eat each other all a chain of death. And the creation is sick and tired of that, just like I am sick and tired of the rails. I'm tired of the DHSs. I'm tired of it all already. So then creation starts to be sick and tired, and they have an expectation, a burning expectation for someone to show up. Was to show up. The manifestation of the sons of Elohim. And the word manifestation is revelation in Greek. In Greek. If you look for this text, it says, for the earnest expectation of creation, it is to wait for the revelation of the sons of Elohim. This text gave the title to this series, because Yahweh doesn't come to do anything. And revelation does not mean final terror and destruction. The Christians utilize, and in Hollywood, the apocalypse. When you talk about the apocalypse, it is complete destruction, unmeasurable, right? This became an apocalypse. The clock is pointing to get to the apocalypse. The apocalypse doesn't mean a destruction, nor terror, nor anguish, nor tribulation. Revelation means the manifestation. I'm saying this even though it may be wrong. The revelation. That's why it's called revelation, because this is the manifestation. It is the revelation that God gives unto His Son. And then that it was a terror revelation. No, it is the manifestation. It is the wisdom. It is the knowledge. It is something which is done manifest. Then it has nothing to do, revelation, that is, with terror. Obviously, all of creation is awaiting for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim. And which is that? When the Mashiach be manifested, and He may restore everything. For God, the Creator, Yahweh, Sebaot, will not fix anything on this earth. He will not move a single finger to fix anything. That is why He makes the Mashiach do everything. Everything. He teaches him. He trains him. And He tells him, now you have to fix everything. I'll give it to you. Don't expect for me to come and change it all and give it to you with a bow and everything. No. It is your land. It is your nations. It is your citizens. Now you have to do this better. Perfect. So then Yahweh doesn't do anything. It's all done by the Mashiach. But in order for the Mashiach to do things well, Yahweh has to form a mind, or else He would do everything wrong. If Peter, who also, it's not that I hate, is if he's an antichrist doesn't mean that he's a bad person, Peter. Peter, in his wisdom, or maybe because Elohim makes him right, but he doesn't understand. If we were to give him the power of the Mashiach, Peter would burn everything, the heavens and the elements. He says, now I'll give. Imagine Peter, well, that is what I wrote, so with my power, burn everything. So then now we go for Elohim that will create a new world. But Elohim will look, what'd you do, Peter? You think I was doing a new world? It isn't so. Peter 6,000 years it took me to make this land for these idiots to learn what a cell phone is, what it is to speak, and for everyone to listen. 6,000 years so that they live in a society that they're not killing each other on a permanent basis. Not that there's wars and people out of place, that it's either way. But the rest, I lived my whole life without people stealing from me, having everything that I wanted, and you too. Well, restriction, problems, that's just to make us better people. But our whole lives we live well, or else you would not be listening to me. So then, Yahweh tells Peter, 6,000 years of civilization. I made a Neanderthal that say that it's Adam and Eve. Now when I show him, he was ugly, that son of a bitch. The other one, I mean, I'm just playing. They were kind of, or else Peter won't understand. They were horrible, the sons of bitches. All little by little, they became civilized to cavemen because they had no houses. They didn't have dog shit, and they're extremely idiotic. And I told them, don't eat that. And of course, I induced them to eat, and they fell because they're such idiots. And then I kicked them in the ass, and I said, go and work there. They were such animals, that a brother killed another one, and all in my fucking family, no brother killed another, but those two killed each other. Look at these animals that they were. They were animals. You have to kill a brother, but he was envious. I mean, they're actually animals, Peter. You'd think that Adam and Eve were the great thing. They didn't even know how to write. How many books did Adam write? You say that Adam was a genius. How many books did Adam write? Tell me. In his Peter says, I read the Chronicles of Adam, and it's fake. Peter, you idiot, don't believe that dog shit book of the story. He didn't write dog shit. He didn't even know what it is to write. You know how difficult it is for these blacks, not blacks in color, but in the sense of, let's change the expression, ignorant people. It's all you're calling them ignorant. The blacks, no, these brutes. Okay, nothing to do with the blacks. These cave brutes. You know how difficult it was for them to learn how to write. You think that I was gonna find worthy and say, come to the school and I'm gonna teach you? No, they were brutes, little animals. I mean, they didn't argue with me when I said I'm gonna kick you out. They didn't argue with me. They were idiots. They were such stupid idiots. Such stupid idiots. Understand what I'm telling you, Peter? Cain was an animal. He was an animal, a wild animal. He killed Abel without anything. Then he said, what did I do? A little animal. The most likened to the cavemen, 6,000 years that it took me for them to be civilized, for them to know how to treat themselves, to know about the language. The Hebrew language is dog shit, Peter. What? My holy language that we don't even say Yahweh but Hashem. There was this, it's dog shit. Your Hebrew language is stupid, basic. How will I give you a language that a fucking letter means so many things? I don't even understand. I read and I can give it 500,000 interpretations. It's not an exact, it's dog shit. You want a more exact language, wait for 2,000 years and you'll have a language that is more exact. I could say, even though the dog shit words are there, in every aspect, programmed for evil, because I made sure for everything to come out like dog shit, but yeah, I did all that. But the language is a lot more precise language. It is more precise. I don't want a word that means 100 things. It is different. If you speak of many things that live here, yeah, because we have a precise language and you make it ambiguous because I don't know what the fuck you put down. I don't know what you put down. Of course, being able to be precise, no, the language can be used. Oh yes, also, but Hebrew, you can't use it precise, but a word means 10,000 things, 10,000 actions. Completely. So then what does it say here? I don't know what it says. Well, let's interpret. No, it's dog shit. Hebrew is dog shit. It's all dog shit. Greek is dog shit. Spanish is 1,000 times better. Even if it has all its traps of the broken words, that is, of death and lies and all that, it's still 1,000 times better. Absolutely better than the rest. So then, Peter, you want to destroy the world? It took me 6,000 years to make of these cavemen to have a society that's marvelous. A society that has light, that has water, that has supermarkets. That for you is crazy. It is crazy to have light, to be able to speak. I mean, don't even mention it. I don't even want to go back 100 years, not 200 years in the time of Adam and Eve. I said, where's the first hill that I can kill myself on? I see Adam and Eve and I'll just fuck off out of there. I couldn't even live with them. They were literal orangutans. There was no diapers. There was no soap. Who taught them? Don't think that Yahweh comes to teach. They didn't know how to write. They didn't know how to read. I mean, they're complete brutes. I mean, don't even mention it. I want you to understand something. I want you to understand something, and for you to understand this clearly, Genesis, the book Bereshit, Genesis, was written 3,000 years after Adam and Eve. Let's see if you understand. 3,000 years later, our first book of the Bible that we so love, that the Torah starts, or the entire Torah, Moses started to write it. And Moses was a guy that learned the art of writing because it was instructed by a queen. The rest, how many books did Aaron write? They were brutes. And I'm talking about 3,000 years after creation. Then all the story of creation. Yahweh makes Moses write it 3,000 years later. You know what 3,000 years are? Because before they were a disaster. It was a disaster. Animals. They were little animals. 3,000 years is a lot of time to say, finally I'll tell you how creation is. Now how the fuck are we going to believe you? No, because why am I going to believe you? How the beginning was. I have so much doubt. I'll make them be written by the first protagonist that Adam wrote a book. Says we were like this, it'd be more believable. But for some guy to write it 3,000 years later, and for 3,000 years later someone to come and write my history, it cannot be believable. That's what the beast does. The things happen, and then those who win the war are the ones who write it. So then I read the story of Adam and Eve written by Moses 3,000 years later, and I'll say it had to be 3,000 years later. It could be 30 years later. It was all fresh. By Noah? Noah didn't know how to write. He says, but he wrote the Chronicles of Noah. What the fuck is he going to write the Chronicles of Noah? But Enoch did write. What the fuck is Enoch going to write? I don't believe Enoch wrote one fucking book. They made Enoch say 10,000 things. Nothing. No paper, nothing. The Egyptians were the first peoples that started to write. What did Enoch write on? With a pencil on a piece of paper, and he wrote everything like that? This black guy, or this man. The guy wrote it all. The guy wrote it all. And how did he write? With what words? I don't believe anything. Look, Yahweh utilized the first book 3,000 years later. That's a long time. Or you don't think that's a long time? You couldn't do it before. You couldn't do it before. The mind of the human, little by little, and some stupid idiot comes, stupid Adventist, and says we have to go back to Eden. The bitch that bore you, who the fuck wants to go back to Eden, to New York? I want to go to New York, to Buenos Aires. to Rome. I want to go to Jerusalem and fix everything there. But to Eden, no thank you. What the fuck are you telling me that I want to go back to Eden? I'm going to send those back to Eden to live with Adam and Eve. Exactly. To wear loincloth. They didn't have anything. Wow, I don't know what the fuck they're with. I was sudden with Cain. And to counteract and to contradict Cain something, well, that's on one side. On the other hand, we comprehend that Yahweh formed all this creation not to destroy it, but rather so that it may flourish. Now we live in the best time of civilization, and before this own civilization self-destructs, then Yahweh grabs and forms a Messiah. And he forms it so that he can rule the civilization for all eternity and makes it grow and grow and grow and give it eternal life. So then, what is he waiting for? What is this creation waiting for? The manifestation of the apocalypse of the sons of Elohim. Why? Because the apocalypse of the sons of Elohim, exactly, the publication of the Messiah into the world. That's what it is. That's what it is exactly. So then, we go back to Isaiah 9. I'll go to number 3. But to read with everything I read in between, I'll go back. There won't always be darkness for the one that is now in anguish. Just like the affliction that came in the land, that lightly they touched the gate of the land of Zebulun and Naphtali, for at the end he will fill with glory that on the other side of the Jordan, the Galilee of the nations, the people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They saw the great Mashiach. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined. The Mashiach shined upon them. And now number 3. Look at what the Mashiach does. Contrary to what the New World Order wants to do. You multiplied the nations. Now we are in the agenda of reduction of population. Through the vacuum cleaners and all that, we have to save the resources. We have to reduce the population. But what does the Mashiach say? You have multiplied the people. This is marvelous because Yahweh, in the form of Yahuwah, never multiplied anyone. Multiplied the fish and the bread, but not the people. Aside from that, it was not his mission. It was for the Mashiach. You multiplied the people and increased the joy. But of course, the people now live in darkness. They live bitter, and also a certain part of their life they have some joy. But of course, it's not all darkness and anguish. It's in part joyous. But the Mashiach comes to multiply it all. Why does he multiply the people? He multiplies the space, the land. He'll take the barrier of the south. He'll take it out of all this side. It'll be a land that's enough, great, big enough, and as big as it needs to be, in order for it to be an endless kingdom, practically. You have multiplied the people, the mind of the Mashiach. The mind of the Mashiach does not want to reduce the population. All the Christians want to reduce the population because as they're evil, they have to die or not. He says it's going to be just a few of us saved, and they'll believe we're going to be a few because the prophecy says that men will be more scarce than gold and blah blah. It's going to be very few, 144,000, maybe a little bit more, and the rest off to hell. Mashiach says stop. What do you want to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to paint it? No. I want to leave it like that. And the dog, what are you going to do with the dog? I'll keep him. So then the house is yours. Yahweh tells the Christians, what are you going to do with all these people that didn't understand their doctrine? Even though if they knew that it was dog shit. But they also didn't understand what you taught. What are you going to do, Christians? We're going to send them off to hell. All of them. Okay. And what are you going to do? We're going to send them to hell, but a complete annihilation. Oh, Yahweh says, okay, I'm not going to give them anything. And you, what are you going to do? You're the craziest, the few. We want to multiply the people. Oh, multiply the people. Yeah, we want to multiply more people. And also, we want to have more joy for everyone and save everyone. Not just save everyone. To the very last son of a bitch that you created, we want to multiply them. Yahweh says, okay, yeah, I'll give it to you. I'll give you the house like the guy that sold me the house. I'll give it to you because this is the mind of the Mashiach. You multiply the people, you increase the joy. They joy before thee. That thee is not Yahweh, but the Mashiach. They joy before thee according to the joy in harvest you see when they gather. And it's, you don't know, if you don't know what the harvest is, I have lived feasts of the harvest called the grapes. It's called the harvest of the wine, not just any harvest. Harvest of the wine in Mendoza. I was born in Mendoza, in Argentina, and afterwards, there's the harvest of the wine here too. Us everywhere when there is a certain feast, exactly. Right, yes, that's true. Wow, that's true. It's terrible. I had to go from San Francisco driving to Hill without sleep. Tremendous, with my mom and dad up there. And I wanted to take him to the house of Helen G. White where she was born. That's where I thought of taking him. And as it turns out, I went to the feast of the wine harvest. You got carriages, feast, everyone drinking wines. There's no hotels anywhere. I would go to a hotel. No, it's all booked. All the hotels said, no vacancy, no place. I thought we were Joseph and Mary. I even asked for a stable, and they told me to fuck off. They said, there's no stables here. Right, of course. Here, we've got nothing but vineyards here. What are you talking about? But yeah, and I had to come from San Francisco driving to my house. It was all a night. Not sleeping at all. And actually...
We said that from San Francisco to the house, and that whole way walking is like when Israel to Egypt.
Yeah, give or take from here to San Francisco is what... twice of what Israel had to walk from Egypt to the Promised Land.
Right, I mean, walking, it would have taken them at least 15 days walking, but in car, it's like, what, 3 hours?
Yeah, I mean, minimum, give or take. Exactly. 3-4 hours in car. And they would enter into the Promised Land if they had a good freeway and all that. So close. But Yahweh said 40 years in the desert, and they would all die. Right, because I'm not going to enter slaves in there.
How unfair, right?
I mean, it's Yahweh's land. So then, notice how the Mashiach wants to augment the joy. What was I also saying? Oh, about the harvest in Mendoza. When the harvest, there's a feast at the end. The feast of the wine fest. I lived it many times. It's precious because you see how it's like the feast here of the carriages, of the flowers. What do they call it? Of the roses, the rose festival, something like that. Well, there they do it. It's the feast, which is in the center of the Mendoza capital. Carriages, I remember when I was little, they would take me. It was carriages, spectacular, because it's a feast. And this is saying you have augmented the joy, and they will rejoice before you, Mashiach, thee, Mashiach. The people will joy for thee. Even as in the harvest, and as men, when they divide the spoil. Well, that's the comparison. What does it mean to give up spoils? In a war that you win, they divide the booty, the spoils. And Yahweh writes it that way because it was typical at the time. You would conquest the territory, you'd kill everything, and then you would divide all the spoils. What joy, right? Of these misfits, animals. So then he writes it in that language, and for us, there's no joy in spoiling or to steal the spoils of what we just, none whatsoever. But of course, they didn't have the mind of the Mashiach, but Yahweh places it so that they understand it, that there would be great joy. because the Mashiach will divide spoils, and that is true. He's going to divide the earth, the Mashiach gifts. He'll divide wisdom. Everything will divide eternal life, which is the most important thing that you could obtain. Of course, they will worship the Mashiach. He is the God of the earth. The God of the earth is the Mashiach. I'll read it again. He says, "You have multiplied the people, increased the joy. They joy before thee according to the joy in the harvest. And as men rejoice when they divide the spoil. For thou," who is thou? It is the Mashiach, that child that has been born. "For thou," not Yahweh, mind you, not Yahweh, it is the Mashiach, because it's all summed up when he says, because. All the reasons it is because a child is born. So then, I'll go back. "For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden." What is the Mashiach going to do? He's going to break the yoke, which I don't even want to say it's from Babylon, because that yoke, it's where all humanity was subject to. First of all, it's the yoke of death. First of all. Second of all, it is the yoke of lies. The yoke in which all the human beings have been submitted to. And last of all, the yoke of Babylon, which is the greatest of all, but the yoke in which Yahweh subjugated us in this reality on this earth is the heaviest of them all. It is the yoke of the creation of Yahweh, which involves pain, death, to bear children with pain, not to understand anything, not understand why we suffer, nor why we exist, nor where we're going. It's all misinformation and who God is. That is the heavy yoke. Everything that is alive, the inheritance of our fathers. But they will love the Mashiach. They're going to worship the Mashiach. And the joy of the people will augment in great manner. Why? Because thou, Mashiach, hast broken that heavy yoke. And the staff of his shoulder. The staff of his shoulder is how Yahweh would punish him with, and the rod of his oppressor. And who's the oppressor? I have to tell you the truth. The oppressor of men is not people that rule us. It is Yahweh. Who cursed us? Yahweh. Who made us the men to work with the sweat of our brow? Yahweh did. Who gave us 70 years to live? Yahweh. Who made us and makes us have all types of bad plants that makes it very difficult actually to harvest good things? With lots of effort we can do it. Yahweh. Who caused the animals to eat one another? Yahweh did. Who created death? Yahweh did. So then who is that rod, the oppressor of humanity? Yahweh is. And who takes it from him? It is Yahweh gives him. Nobody takes it from him. It says, "This are the nations. I've taken them up until now. They've been taken care of by me in my style for 6,000 years. Now I'll give them to you because you deserve it. Because I know you're going to do this." Aside from that, it's by design. I had to get you that way in the form that I made the earth, so that now you free it completely. So then, "For thou have broken their yoke, and the staff of his shoulder, and the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian." As in the day of Midian, what does this have anything to do? Why does Yahweh makes the prophet Isaiah write this? For the day of Midian was one of the, if not the greatest, victories of Israel over some of their enemies, which were the Midianites. After that victory against those Midianites, the Midianites almost disappeared. They never bothered them again for a long time, and the victory was incredible because they did not have to even do anything. They were Gideon and 300 against 100,000 or more. It was a battle impossible to win, just like that. Impossible to win 300 against thousands upon thousands. And the thousands destroyed themselves because it was an epic battle with a divine power. That's the way it is. So then, what power does the Messiah have? Well, just so you get an idea, the power that Gideon had that with just 300, he would destroy armies. That's why it says, "For thou, Mashiach, has broken his heavy yoke, and the staff of his shoulder, and the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian." That's why it's so important for him to add that information. Superhuman power. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. He says that everything which actually is negative and is a part of some battle, whether real or ideological, will be destroyed. And all this because, here's the clear word, the Jews explain this clearly. They have no problem with it. They know that it's talking about the Mashiach. Because, all that because a child is born unto us, a son is given unto us, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. I'll stop right there. Government upon his shoulder means the government. Government is the word, and the government, the power of ruling, the authority of ruling over his shoulder. And his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. All the Christians identified that Jesus of 2,000 years ago, and they are wrong, because they won't understand it until they have to understand that this strong and mighty God, this child, this marvelous blueprint designer is the Messiah of now, the Messiah that has already been born, and has been born in the time it was conceived, in the very time of Christmas. Christmas, we celebrate that Yahweh begat himself in the human race. We celebrate that up until now, and we shall celebrate it eternally. That the Creator tabernaclized himself, and that he took the human flesh in Mary. But also, the entire world will celebrate not only that at 25th of December, just to give a date, was when Yahweh inserted himself in the human race, but rather when Yahweh formed the Messiah in a group of people. For the Messiah is born again. What Yahweh did is a symbol of how the Messiah would be born. And the Messiah had to be conceived in a group of people and to give birth. It's already a concept. In a concept to understand what the Messiah is. Because actually we gave birth to an understanding in the mind of the Mashiach. The mind of the Mashiach had to be formed in us. And it is exactly what was formed in Mary, the Mashiach. And when that child is given birth unto the world, it is when the people will see it. When he'll be shown the apocalypse, or the manifestation of the children of Elohim, which were begotten. That Mashiach was born in us. He's not being manifested unto the world, but that Mashiach was born. Already was born, because he was born in our understanding, our mind. Because a child is born unto us, a son is given unto us, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and the Prince of Peace. The Spanish YHWH says, "For a child is born unto us. God has given us a son, to whom has been conceived the power of ruling." The rule of government, we see that clearly in Daniel when the Son of Man comes near and the Ancient of Days concedes unto him. He gives him authority and ruling and glory. That is exactly this. What is given unto him? The power to rule has been given him, and they will give him these names. Look at the names that the Messiah has. Admirable in his plans, better, very better, more a better translation than the counselor. What did I say before? The admirable counselor, admirable in his plans. That is. This is something marvelous because I've already explained this, but I'm gonna explain it again in case you didn't understand. The Mashiach has plans that are not in the Bible. If they were in the Bible, it would have nothing as marvelous. God already wrote it. The Mashiach has new plans. For example, not to do what Peter wants to do. For example, not to destroy all the earth. So then the plans of the Mashiach will be absolutely admirable. And the people said, your plans are admirable. They're a lot better than what we read in the Bible. Entire destruction, for them to take us to heaven, to destroy this earth, and for God to come and make a new earth for the good people, and to send all the sons of bitches, which is the majority, to hell. But your plans are a lot better. What are your plans? To save everyone, to multiply the races, to create and expand the earth, not to create, recreate the earth and expand it. Conserve everything that we've learned in these 6,000 years, even music, including that dog shit reggaeton, because, you know, even if it's to laugh, but it's all there, it's all our creation. You can like it or not. You can hate it like I hate it or not, but it's created by man. And for me, creation is creation, even if it's actually dog shit, it's still creation. Conserve everything we've created, even like a museum, not to touch anything, multiply the forms of industry to create many more autonomous things to help us, of course, to change all the curses that there's ever been that Yahweh has placed. And then people say, this really is, per se, a political platform of some guy that we would vote for him, or a group that we would vote for all eternity. Those are the admirable plans that are not written by God. If the Messiah does not come up with them, of saying, for example, this prophecy, no, we don't want to fulfill it, we're going to do something else. Instead of doing this, we're going to do something else. And it'll be in our admirable plans. That is why it says these names are given unto the Messiah, admirable in his plans. And those are plans that are not in the Bible, or else they would not be admirable. You understand that, right? He's going to read the plans of the Bible and repeat it like a parrot. Then how is it admirable? Nothing. It has to be a guy with his own plans, is what I'm referring to. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Admirable in his plans. Invincible God. That is the Messiah. Invincible God. Invincible. Eternal Father. Father for all eternity of these people. The Prince of Peace, of course, because in his government there will be peace. Let's read how the New Living Translation says it. For a child is born to us, a son is given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders. The government forever. Government, a new world eternal government. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor. A lot better. A marvelous designer. Marvelous plans. Mighty God. Everlasting Father. Prince of Peace. 7, we advance. Of the increase of his empire and peace, there shall be no end. In other words, the empire of the Messiah will have no limit. What the increase means, how long it'll last eternally. That's a wrong word, but anyway, that's the way it's written. That's how they translated it. The increase of his government shall have no limit, and the peace shall have no limit. Upon the throne of David, of course, the Messiah is speaking. David appears as a figure. David will never again rule over anyone or anything. He's a historical figure. Upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment. But of course, they are the judges, the supreme judges of heaven and earth. That is why it is confirmed in the judgment. Like John saw, he says, I saw thrones, and upon them sat those who have received the faculty to judge. That's why it says, confirming him and disposing him in judgment and in justice. Henceforth, even forever, the zeal of Yahweh of hosts will perform this. This is guaranteed by Yahweh. This is not applied to Jesus, Christian. It is not applicable to Yeshua 2,000 years ago. That is the zeal. That is Yahweh. And the zeal of Yahweh will be for this child to be born, and this child will to make him grow in justice, in wisdom, in stature, until he has the mind of the Mashiach. And to show unto the world the script. That's why this feast of Christmas, Hanukkah, represents the coming of the Mashiach unto the earth. Not just that of Yahweh's, but that was only a shadow, and also reality, but just a shadow, prophetic shadow, that would project this that I just presented. Because Yahweh did not fulfill any of this. If you think that it was Jesus who fulfilled this, then tell me what part of it that he fulfilled. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because he will fulfill it through his Mashiach. I'll read this in number 7 in the New Living Translation. His government and peace shall never have no end. He will rule with fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David for all eternity. In other words, there will never again change a government, the Mashiach forever. The passionate commitment of Yahweh, of heavens, Sabaoth, or of the heavenly armies, will make this happen. Yahweh will make it happen. And if he wants the Mashiach, Yahweh is the only one that can make this happen. And it is written. The destiny is written. This is the true scripture. There are many scriptures that will not be fulfilled. But the true destiny is written. And this end is inevitable. This end for the Mashiach to rule it is inevitable. No matter whatever we do or stop doing, or what Yahweh allows us to do, the end is inevitable. The destiny is written. Let us read Isaiah 9:6. In the Torre Samat, his empire shall be amplified a lot better than increase. It'll be amplified. And peace shall have no end. And he shall sit upon the seat of David, and his kingdom shall be consolidated and confirmed, causing equity and justice to reign from now and forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts is the one who will perform this. Last one, I'll read it in the Kadosh version, because I liked it. Isaiah 9, from 6 through 7, I'll read in the Kadosh. The Kadosh Israelite Messianic. And I'm already finishing up. And I said I wasn't going to speak too much. It's been 2 hours and a half speaking. I told Leslie, nah, my head hurts. I don't want to talk. I'm going to be coughing 2 hours and a half. I've been speaking to you. And I said, I'll just greet them. And that's it. Let's go to the Kadosh, Isaiah 9, 6 through 7. So I'm telling you, if you didn't give us a like, it's time for you to give us a like. Don't forget to give us a like. And due to everything that we've given, even in a date like this, give us a comment. If you really appreciate us, Leslie, Angelina, Brian, and myself, give us a comment, at least for Christmas. At least give us a Christmas gift. And how you found this subject that you just heard of the Messiah, why we celebrate Christmas. This is the feast of the Messiah. Today, I've just said, not just that we celebrate that Yahweh came to earth, but it is our feast. The entire world, but it says this guy has no limit. People are going to say, right? This guy has no limit. He took over the title of Christ and the Mashiach. Now Christmas, he never stops. Christmas is our feast. Exactly. That's why it is Christmas. Even my name bears it. If you don't like it, then there's the door. But here, it's not that we took over. We notice that it is ours. It is our story written. It is ours. But what? Continue to study the Bible, you ignorant fools. You think? Hold on, stop. You think that you have eternal life in those pages? Continue to study. Don't you see that the Bible talks only about the Mashiach? Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, how Bon Jovi had this song that says Christmas is not Christmas
Without
without you.
you. Without you. Christmas, not Christmas without you. Exactly. Christmas is not Christmas without us, without the eternal truth. The Christmas was created for the eternal truth. You say, how does he say so many things? Christmas is the feast which will be celebrated the birth, the gestation of Yahweh, and also the true birth of the Mashiach, and that is what they will celebrate, and even more with more lights and with more of an effort and a lot more things. So then, Christmas was created for us. Okay, moving on. Moving on here, the feasts of the lights. I didn't tell you what light means. Mashiach. It is the feast of the Mashiach. Just like that, the anointed, the feast of the lights, the feast of the anointed. I'll read this to you in the Kadosh version. For a child is born unto us, a son is given unto us, whose dominion shall rest upon his shoulder, and it shall be given unto him the name of Pelech Shoetz, El Ivor, Avi Av Sar Shalom. This means, what a marvelous counselor, the planifier, designer like none other, never, as you'll never read anywhere else in the Apocalypse. What a marvelous counselor, powerful Elohim, Father of all eternity, Father of eternity, the eternity that comes, of the new and renewed earth, Father of eternity, of the Shabbat, Father of the new world, Prince of Shalom. All this means is what Pelech Shoetz, El Elohim of Givor Aviv Av Shad Shalom. His government shall be great, and of his shalom, his peace, there shall be no end. And upon the throne and kingdom of David will be him to sustain it through judgment and rectitude, righteousness, henceforth and forever. The zeal of Yahweh Sebaot will come to realize this. Who will do this? Yahweh, because Yahweh is the one that announces, my child art thou. I have begotten thee today. Ask me, and I shall give thee the nations as an inheritance. Exactly. It's all the same thing. It's absolutely the same thing. And you know something? We're in a very special time. Because in 2 more weeks, it's 2 more weeks exactly, tomorrow we celebrate Christmas. And 2 weeks from there, we'll celebrate Hanukkah. Hanukkah, which is the Feast of Lights, is the very same feast, just that sometimes they coincide or not. Same thing, we'll have a unique calendar, because I'm already sick and tired of all the calendars there's ever been. We'll have a unique calendar. Hanukkah and Christmas will be the very same feast. And Hanukkah begins on the 6th of January as the sun goes down. In other words, January 6th, it's already a feast anyway, because it's the Day of Kings. We'll celebrate that Day of Kings, which begins on the first day of Hanukkah when the sun goes down, mind you, which begins on the 25th of Kislev, of Kis-LVE, pardon me, of Kis-LVE begins on the 25th of Kislev. Precisely, it begins with January 6th. But I'll read again what Yahweh promised. Might it be that it'll be fulfilled now? That I don't know. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know if this child has already been born enough in wisdom. He's 4 years old or 3, because if we take, of course, since his gestation period in 2020, he is 3 years old. Right? If he was born in 2020, along with the Hanukkah of the other side, he's 4 years old. If that's when the gestation period started, then he's 3 years old. 3 years old, but at a level that's more very different out of a common child.
Now, if we're talking the eternal truth, as a ministry, it's 13.
Oh, yeah, if we start from the eternal truth, then it's 14. 14.
That's why I'm saying that at least he walks just like our path.
He already walks, yes. Yes, he walks. He walks. Exactly. Depending on what Yahweh says when he was born. And it could be perfectly well when this ministry started, as you said, Leslie. So then, if he has already born enough for Yahweh in wisdom, in height, and in grace with him and with men, then yes, he will call him, give him his spirit, and he will bring about the manifestation of the sons of Elohim, but we don't know when, but it is promised. Two things, two prophecies come during these feasts. Haggai 2:18 through 23, as a reminder to you only.
Now, that about growing in wisdom and grace with God and men, not obedience towards the commandments.
Oh no. No, wisdom and height. It says that the child grew in wisdom and height and in grace. Height in thinking and thoughts. Okay, two prophecies. One, you know both very well, but this is just to finish up. As a Christmas gift, is this going to happen this year? It'd be fabulous. But the child, it's kind of like the child. When did you learn to drive? For example, did somebody learn to drive very young? When did you learn to drive? You don't know, Angeline, what she was going to say. When did you learn to drive? You see, who would grab dad's car, 12 years old, 13 years old, and the father wouldn't be crazy. Can you give me the car's keys? No, you'd have to be crazy. I'm big enough. No, not yet. You will drive it. You will drive it, but I won't give it to you now. I'd have to be crazy because you'll kill yourself. Very few people, they say, they're going to laugh, that learn to drive at such a young age like I did. At 9 years old, I'd drive alone, and they'd give me the car. And they're like, cannot be. Yes, it is. I would park the car from outside inside. 12 years old, they'd sent me out to buy something. 12 years old. At 9 years old, I could drive it alone and say, Christian, park the car. And I would park it. I lived in a church on top, in a great place, big place in Montevideo, Buenos Aires, in the church of the Acacias. And my dad would make me bring the car in. And I'm talking about the year. I said, what year? 70th year, the 79. And my dad had a Dodge, those enormous Dodge cars. He had many cars, but that Dodge. And at 9 years old, I would bring the car alone before the people that would just look at me. He did it on purpose because he had a child that was a genius. I was. And so he would tell Christian, bring the car in. The people would just look. They're terrified. I was born in the year 69. And at the year 79, with 9 years old, almost as I turned 10, I would drive alone. A terrible car. If you know what a Dodge is, a Polara, it's an enormous car. I don't know if they exist anymore, but enormous. I'd grab the car in front of the people. Manual, by the way, manual, not an automatic, mind you, manual. I'd have first, second, third here. First, second, third. And I would barely see above like that, and I would drive the car like that. I would bring it out, I'd park it, and people would say, wow, that guy's a genius. I said, yeah, I don't know what to do with him. He's brilliant, the guy is. That's at 9 years old. At 5 years old, or even 4, I only drove alone, but on my father's back, because at 4 years old I couldn't reach the pedals. And my dad would fall asleep and I'd be driving. And my dad, completely unconscious, he was completely out. And sometimes I woke him up, his dad. And precisely his sister had died. And we were driving from Buenos Aires, in Montevideo. or where we're in Cordoba. I can't remember where, but I think he was in Uruguay, but someplace else, in Alvesia. And my aunt died in Mendoza. And what happened? My dad said, "Oh, I have to go to there and bury her." He was a pastor. So they asked him, and so he grabbed the car and he went out to drive and driving up to Mendoza. I mean, it's thousands of kilometers, and well, I wanted to drive. I had to drive. That was in the year 76. 76. How old was I? I was born in 69. You already know. When we went to the moon, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76. But yes, but it was before August, 5 years old, 6 years old, 6 years old. More than that, no. 6 years old. 6 years old. 6 years old. Everyone's sleeping, just snoring. My mom and dad, and I was driving alone like that. I wouldn't even get to the whatchamacallit, the pedals. And then all of a sudden it says that I say, tell my dad. And he woke up like that, scared. What? Do I pass him? I was coming on a route that it's both sides. And with my speed, I was getting close to the guy, but I also saw, and my dad was telling me, I remember just a little bit, not a lot, but my mom tells me, and my mom, how crazy were we? A car was in front of us, and I was there calculating with that speed that my dad had. I couldn't make it even faster. If with that speed I could pass the guy, and for me to have enough time, I asked my dad, is it enough time? Do I pass him or not? But he went crazy. He stopped. I remember because he was so scared. It's like, do I pass him or not? Because he was right in front of us. Complete insanity. But I was an expert driver at 6 years old, a master. They couldn't give me the car alone, of course. Elohim will not give us to be the Messiah. Maybe some are ready. Modesty aside, maybe some of us are ready, but actually, he has to give that to all in a group, knowing that we're not going to use it well. No, he's the designer, and he makes sure he knows us, he sees us, but as if we were a crystal. So then he knows if we already have the age to drive the world. It's no longer a car, it is the world. When we have the enough age, that's why let us not despair if it's this year or not. This is written. The destiny is written. The destiny is that the sons of Elohim, with the mind of the Mashiach, will drive the world. And the end is inevitable. Now, when will that be? When Elohim considers it to be that we're of age to drive the world. Haggai 2, 18 through 22. Consider now in this day in your heart, from this day and upward, of the day, the 24th of Kislev, when it begins, as soon as it begins, when Hanukkah begins. From this day and upward, from the 24th day of the 9th month, even from the day that the foundation of the temple of Yahweh was laid, consider it in your heart. Is the seed yet in the barn? Yeah, as yet the vine and the fig tree and the pomegranate and the olive tree have not brought forth. From this day will I bless you. From what day? There is a promise. From the 24th of Kislev. From the 24th of Kislev, there is a promise. Is it this year? And if it's not, there's always going to be blessings. I expect blessings. Yahweh has to start giving things to his children. And again, the word of Yahweh came unto Haggai in the 4th and 20th day of the month, Kislev, December, saying, speak to Zerubbabel. There you have it. The one born in Babylon. The Mashiach is born in Babylon. Speak unto Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth, and I will overthrow the throne of the kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen. I find that to be okay. The strength is fine, which are the armies and all the rest, but not the nations, not the cities. And I will overthrow the chariots and cause the heavens and the earth to shake, and the strength of the nations. I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses and their riders shall come down, everyone by the sword of his brother. That is equal to the battle of Midian. In that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, will I take thee, O Zerubbabel, my servant, son of Shealtiel, saith Yahweh, and I will make thee as a signet as a seal, for I have chosen thee, saith Yahweh of hosts. But this prophecy and these gifts and this blessing comes from what time and on? Starting from the 24th of Kislev. And it is when Zerubbabel receives those gifts and he seals with that. That sealing is very related with eternal life. I've explained this already. It is resurrection and also eternal life. So then, let us go to the last prophecy. Esther. And Esther represents the bride of Yahweh. Esther 2:16 through 18. Esther is the bride. Ahasuerus is Yahweh, and it's the story as follows. Esther went as bride, was taken into King Ahasuerus, Yahweh, into his royal house in the 10th month. Oh, how pretty. If it is from Kislev on, from the 25th of Kislev, it's only 5 days of Kislev left, and what begins the 10th month. So then the prophecy in Haggai doesn't say that it is the day of Kings, or no, it says from that date on, okay? From this day on, I will bless you. And precisely Esther, Queen Esther, that represents the bride, that represents the children of Elohim, represents the Mashiach, was taken to King Ahasuerus, which represents Yahweh. So you understand, it would seem to be the representation of the Son of Man presented before the Ancient of Days unto his royal house in the 10th month, the following month, which is that of Tevet. The following month is of Kis Lve. In the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther. It's as if to say, Yahweh loved the Son of Man. And the king loved Esther above all the other women. And Yahweh loved the Son of Man more than all the rest of the religions and peoples of Israel and all the rest. Doesn't matter. He is the favorite. That's why you go up onto the throne and I anoint you and make you a Mashiach, because with oil of joy more than your companions, because I love thee more than your companions. And the king loved Esther above all the other women. And she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and give gifts according to gifts. It was gifts. It was gifts according to the state of the king. What's interesting is that Queen Esther, which represents the bride, is presented or taken just like the prophecy of Daniel chapter 7, which is, and I saw like a son of man was taken in the clouds of heaven before the Ancient of Days. It is the very same prophecy. Esther, which is the son of man, is taken before King Ahasuerus, and King Ahasuerus crowns him, hands over authority into the queen, and says, I want you more than all the rest. In fact, you're the only one that I want. Gives her the crown, authority to rule. That is the crown. The very same story. When does this take place? It's what's interesting. In the 10th month. The month of Tevet. That's what's interesting. So then Yahweh says, from the 25th of Kislev on, I'll start to bless you. And we have another prophecy that says, and my queen, I'll make her be present in the month of Kislev, the month of Tevet, which is the 10th month. I'll enthrone her. I will give her the royal crown. Will this take place this year? The truth is, I don't know. That's what I'm telling you. I don't know. All I know is that both the Silva lineage, as all those who have declared that they are in the hedge with us, against the plans written by some prophets of Yahweh, because other prophets have written other plans. We are against the destruction of the world. We are in favor of humanity. And we have this lineage, Silva, united as one, what it represents. And all of you who join us, those who have declared, there's no need that you declare it again. All those of the eternal truth who did not add, we are with you, Silva lineage. We are against all the antichrists, all the ones that want destruction, all that want an eternal hell and death. We are with you because we are the sons of Elohim. That is to start to develop the mind of the Mashiach. And until all have grown the mind of the Mashiach in height, in wisdom, and in grace with Elohim and with men, this situation will not take place, because Yahweh wants for us to get to the height of the Mashiach, in order for him to give us that power that's infinite and call us, you are the designers, marvelous designers. You are the Elohim, powerful. You are the fathers for all eternity of the new humanity which will live on earth. And you are the governors, the judges, the kings of peace. We are in that point, I don't know, but we are in the point that Kislev is near. On the 25th, Hanukkah is near. Christmas and Hanukkah is our feast. It is the feast of the demonstration unto the world of the Mashiach. It is the feast of the manifestation unto the world of the Mashiach, and we'll celebrate it for all eternity. If it is this year, it'd be marvelous. All those who are with the Silva lineage in the hedge of what it means to be the true Mashiach, declare it as a decree. We wish you that you have a very, very, very happy and blessed and splendid Christmas 2023. That you may enjoy this feast, thinking that Yahweh made himself flesh, and that Yahweh had a son, a male son, on these very feasts that he's forming the mind of the Mashiach. That the Mashiach has already been born. He has already been born again, and he is forming and finishing up the mind of the Mashiach. We wish you that you receive the richest and most blessed gifts from Yahweh on this Hanukkah, what he promised us. And if it's not the time yet of driving the car, of driving the world, at least we'll continue to grow in wisdom, in stature, and in grace, with Elohim and with men. The destiny is written. The end is inevitable. Without any further ado, let us wrap up with a word of prayer. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks because you have given us this guide to form your sons, this group that will be called the sons of Elohim, your bride, the Son of Man, the Mashiach, your judges, to whom you will give them the inheritance of the nations. And you want to make sure that your sons have grown in wisdom, in stature, and in grace with you and with men. And when this takes place, you will give them the seven spirits, so that all these prophecies which are already written to be fulfilled. We give you thanks because today you have made us understand all these marvelous things, that you give us new names, marvelous names, and marvelous designers, powerful gods, princes of peace, and fathers for all eternity. Thanks, Yahweh, for all this. I ask you, in the name of all the eternal truth, and in the name of all of your children, that you fill them with rich blessings this Hanukkah and Christmas. May it be the moment that you have decided that this Mashiach be shown unto the world, or not yet, but that you give us all the blessings while the world is in despair and new threats of viruses and all the rest. We desire your gifts, your blessings, in your precious name, the name of our Father, name of our husband, in the name of the only Elohim that has ever existed and exists, the Elohim Creator, Yahweh Sabaoth, Alleluia. Semper Fi to each and every one of you. Long live the Argentum Mashiach bride of Yahweh. Many thanks for all the gifts. If some have not been able to present them, and I didn't, and I forgot because I put some things in the fridge, I remember. I think there's some candies there. It doesn't matter. Many thanks for everything that you have given us and sent us due to the love that you show. And those that didn't send us anything, you're bad. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Many thanks for the gifts also that you gave us in money gifts. Maybe it's easier. Many thanks for all those gifts. They're very much appreciated. They're in our heart, printed forever, and we take them with us for all eternity. All those things, always, 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 all those acts will be recompensed. Let the laurels be eternal, that we knew how to achieve, crowned with glory. Let us live. Enjoy these precious Christmas. If the Lord allows it, we shall meet again next Shabbat. Alleluia to each and every one of you. And a very happy Christmas. Alleluia.